Hello everyone, I'm Roseveer, and in this video, we're going to talk about the truth behind PvP scaling. To start things off, I'm going to give a quick explanation of what PvP scaling is. PvP scaling is essentially a system in which it tries to equalize your item level across the entire game. So the more item level you have, the more it scales you down in order to try and equalize your gear with other people who have lower item level gear, or maybe even a fresh 120. This is a problem because in World of Warcraft, your gear is essentially a physical representation of your achievements in-game, and you should see an equal amount of power increase based on your time invested. And when you're not seeing those gains, you end up investing less time into the game and spending less time playing the game. And that's not something that Blizzard wants, and that's not something that the players want. So to help me illustrate my point, I took some clips from Asmongold's stream where he's reacting to other streamers and YouTubers who are showing evidence of what PvP scaling actually is. And once I've showed these clips, I'm going to explain in detail what the game design philosophy is behind what they're doing and why it's actually really bad for the game and is possibly killing PvP.
Okay, what is this here?
Alright, wait, watch this again. Ready, chat? 73,000 hit points. I hit him for 189k, he doesn't die.
This is what McConnell and I were talking about. This is exactly what we were talking about, dude. Like, I can't even believe it.
So imagine you've got your sword and your shield. So you go and you hit somebody. So I got the sloth right here.
Just fucking hit him, man.
So you hit him, right? And you do 80,000 damage. It says 80,000 on your screen. And you think that you're hitting him with that sword over there. But in reality, Blizzard lied to you. Because you're actually hitting him with the damage of a Pringles can. You're just tapping him on the nose like he's a good boy. And it only did 60,000 on his fucking screen.
Because Blizzard actually thought that they would get away with this shit by putting a fucking system in the game that makes it to where whenever you do damage to somebody, it recalculates that damage inside of an internal calculation mechanism that then reduces it and then puts the other number on the other player's screen. So you hit one dude for 80,000 and he only takes 60. Blizzard is literally lying to you.
Tell him,
I did.
dude. That's the title for the YouTube video when it gets uploaded.
So with full gems, I ended up doing less than 1% more damage, but I took more damage. So I was supposed to do 10% more damage to him, but instead I did less than 1% more damage because of scaling.
You can do a Clawing Shadow when I haven't socket my gear yet. Okay, go for it.
Okay.
Alright, that was 11,350. I should
Okay.
probably write. Damage taken, Clawing Shadow. No
So
gem.
it took 11,350,
Alright,
got
if
it?
you do that again, just to make sure it's not like any procs or anything.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
it's the
50K
same, alright,
for
great.
choosing.
Now I'm gonna do my judgment and we see without a socket how much it does. Okay, how much was that? Okay, 17,076.
Alright, that works.
He's gonna make sure it's the same. It's the same, right? Yeah. Alright, so that's much damage without a socket. Now I'm gonna put a socket on my legs.
Okay.
And we're gonna see. Let's put in the Versa right there. And we're gonna see how much better I get when I get 50 more Versa. I mean, it
So he
increased my
gains
stats,
more
right? So I should get
versatility,
way more damage done. Okay,
which,
not way more, maybe
which
like
should make him do
1%
more damage.
Let's say a little bit more damage, a little bit more damage reduction. Okay, now I got my socket on me. Otherwise, exact same gear. You do a
Okay.
Clawing Shadow. And I took 11,383. And that is more damage taken than before. So I actually take more damage by increasing my stats for some reason. That's
What?
really great. Alright, if I do a judgment, how much damage is that? Oh shit, it's crit.
Thank you, Kraken. What?
How much is that? That is less damage.
Who fucking does this? Like, who invents this shit? Like, how the fuck can they be, like, are they crazy? I don't understand this. How could anybody think this is possibly a good idea?
So now that everybody has a good idea of what PvP scaling is, and probably a good idea of why it's bad for the game, I'm going to go ahead and answer that question that Asmongold just asked. And that's, who does this? Who thinks this is a good idea? And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, not game developers and not game designers. A good game developer and a good game designer would never implement a system like this in a multiplayer game. So if I'm being completely honest, it took me a long time to figure out exactly where this game design philosophy came from, because on the face of it, it makes no sense. And even once you've dug into it a little bit further and looked at the depths of it, it still makes no sense. So I spent a lot of time actually thinking about it and just mulling it over in my head. And just recently I was going through some old textbooks and things from when I was in college, and I found it. So I'm going to put up a few images on the screen that were used by our sociology professor to help explain to the class exactly what this ideology was. So essentially what this image is showing is the difference between equality and equity. Now, if you imagine for a second that the boxes that the people are standing on is the gear or your item level, and the height of the person is your player's skill and time invested. So when you look at PvP scaling in World of Warcraft through the lens of equity, then you kind of start to understand what this is. And it's a system that's compensating for people's lack of skill and time invested by trying to bring everybody up to the same level. This should be obvious to everybody, but this is really bad for the game because it destroys player power progression in PvP. So I took the time to edit the equality versus equity image to help me display exactly what I mean. Now, equality on the very left side is where everybody has the exact same gear, and the only difference is player time invested and player skill. Now, this isn't always the case, but generally the people who invest more time into a game are going to be better at that game. So now equity in the middle is the system in which that it tries to offset player skill by giving people who are newer with less gear and less time investment an advantage. Now, on the very right side, and this isn't exactly how capitalism works, I'm not going to get into that obviously, but classic World of Warcraft, the more time you put into the game, you not only get taller, but you get more gear. And that's how it should be, because that's player power progression in PvP, and it's much more fun and feels way better when you go into a BG and you can just destroy somebody.
This is so stupid, man. I don't understand. He's got no fucking gear on. Like, that's the worst part. He's got literally zero fucking gear. Look at this. He just deletes them. I don't even know what to say. 189k? Well, no, it's not 189k. This is what you don't understand. Is the fucking PvP scaling makes it to where his damage, he does 189k on his screen, but what the other person takes is 600,000. It's PvP scaling, dude.
I don't know about anybody else, but the idea that I could take my gear off to do more damage is actually really frustrating to me. And the fact that Blizzard tried to sneak this past us really kind of pisses me off, but at the same time, I don't think they did it with any malicious intent, because if you look at websites like Data for Azeroth, it shows that there's very few people actually PvPing, and if you look at just overall achievements in general for Battlegrounds, there's some of the lowest percentage achievements in the entire game. Now, that's basically showing that people just do not like PvP in World of Warcraft. And I think what they're doing is they're trying to get more people into PvP with a system like this. To prove my point, I'm going to show a couple images here from the website Data for Azeroth. Now these are achievements that you can get for doing 100 of a specific battleground: Eye of the Storm, Arathi Basin, Warsong Gulch, and Alterac Valley. Now, all of these are right at or around 10%, with the exception of Alterac Valley, which is at 7% of the entire player base actually having 100 victories in this battleground. That's extremely low. When you think of all the people who have played World of Warcraft, only 7% of people have actually done Alterac Valley enough to get this achievement. It just blew my mind when I saw this, and it illustrates that very few people are actually doing BGs and PvPing. The issue of people not doing BGs and not PvPing in World of Warcraft is a rather big one, and I don't think that equity is the right solution to this problem. Offhand, the only thing I can really think of to get people back into BGs and PvPing is first, remove this equity system from the game, and PvP scaling is what people call it. Remove PvP scaling from the game and put it back to the way it was, where when you gain gear, you gain power, and that power is consistent throughout the entire game, PvE and PvP both. Now, the only thing I can really think of to get people back into BGs would be a system like Classic, not necessarily like the High Warlord or High Grand Marshal grind. I think that's way too much time investment. Now, a system similar to that, where the rewards are equal to the time invested, I think would get people back into BGs and PvPing more. That's all I have for this video. I hope I shed some light on what PvP scaling actually is and why it's bad for the game, and maybe we can get Blizzard to remove it if we put enough pressure on them and really show them that we don't like this system. So with that being said, don't forget to do all the fancy things below, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video.